You are now listening to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. Thank you for joining us as we talk about the movies of yesteryear. You can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter by searching for Backlook Cinema. Check our show notes for more info, and now, let's get it in.
Hi, my name is Zachary.
And this is Alonzo. And welcome back to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. Fam, I'm really glad you joined us today. This is episode 5. We made it to episode 5. That's awesome.
Yeah, of course you're happy.
Yeah, I have a secret goal. I didn't tell you about these goals. The first goal is to get to episode 8. Do you know why I want to get to episode 8?
Pretty sure there's a specific movie you want me to see.
No, that's not it. The reason I want to get to episode 8 is because statistically speaking, most podcasts fail at episode 7. That means that people get to episode 7 and they just kind of stop broadcasting. And it might be because a lot of podcasts are limited series anyway. But on the other hand, it could be because they're just like, man, I'm not doing this no more. So the first goal is to get to episode 8. So I was like, yeah, I did it. I beat the average, or we beat the average. And the second goal is to get to episode 30, just to do that consistency, and that'll take us well into 2021.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Hey,
2020 is already bad enough. No,
actually, 2021 is going to be great. We're going to have a vaccine.
First of all, I have no hopes for 2021. If I gave up on 2019 and I automatically gave up on 2020 when it became 2020, I'm already giving up on 2021.
No, the 2021, we're going to have a new president. A new vaccine is coming out probably by the summer of 2021. You get I think they said like maybe 10 million people will have gotten vaccinated, but it'll be slowly moving through the ranks. I know it'll just be out there, and that'll be great. We'll finally, I think by the end of 2021, we'll be able to take off our masks. We'll probably start going back into movies in by the summertime. Another thing that's great about 2021, the Marvel movies coming back. Do you know this is like the first year since way back between Thor and Iron Man? I think there was a year where there was no Marvel movies between Thor and Iron Man or something like that. But ever since then, like I guess Thor came out, there's been a steady flow of Marvel movies dependably coming out every single year. And 2021 was the first year where there was Nathan from Marvel. Nathan, not even a TV show. The Scarlet Witch, what's it called? The Vision and Scarlet Vision. Isn't that what it's called?
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Scarlet Vision was supposed to come out this year. It's supposed to come out like I think in the summertime or something like that. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was definitely supposed to be out this year. Nope, none of that happened. But it seems like we're gonna get Scarlet. I'm sure there's Scarlet Vision. We're gonna get Scarlet Vision in 2021. I think spring 2021, and sometime around that time, we're gonna get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think around the summertime we're supposed to get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So yeah, I think that 2021 is going to be on the lookup, and it's going to kind of end with the bang because Wonder Woman 1984 is going to come out this Christmas on HBO Max.
Yeah, that's on HBO Max. That's not in theaters. Yeah, they're good. They don't.
No, actually, it's going to be in theaters and HBO Max.
Well, it looks like theaters are not going to get that money at the moment.
Yeah,
all that's going to go to HBO Max.
Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully the theaters can hold on and survive until it's available, but we'll see what happens. Well, I'm just saying I'm real optimistic about 2021, and because the reason that I convinced you to do this podcast was because when you're in a situation like this, families can grow apart, and I wanted us to bond as
we was already bonded as every time you come home to cook.
Yeah.
And I had to clean up your own mess.
Yeah, that's a bonded moment.
Yeah, we didn't have to do this. This was a step too far. That's
and you didn't always clean up after me when I cooked, because I cook and it was good stuff. and you enjoyed it. So and I cleaned up most of my dishes today, but every once in a while I'll let you do it because I'd be tired after cooking. But yeah, but see, but this is also bonding because we're talking to each other, we're watching the same movies, we're talking. It's good. It's a good deal, and that's why I convinced you to do this with me.
Yeah, sure, convinced, as I say in quotation marks.
Right. So, why don't you let them know where they can find us?
The show can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Snitcher, Pandora, or almost anywhere you listen to the podcast. You can even listen to the Backlook Cinema podcast on Google, and you'll find us.
Yes, backlookcinema.com. Also, it's Stitcher, not Snitcher.
Stitcher, yeah.
You can reach us at backlookcinema.com, where you can leave us feedback directly there on that website. You can check us out you can check out our social media profiles also on that website, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you go to backlookcinema.com, you can just click on like a Twitter icon or the Instagram icon, and that'll send you directly to our social media accounts. And also,
yeah, please, if you like our show, then rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts or the various other podcast apps that you might be using to listen to us.
Yes, that's very important. We would really appreciate that. And also, we got a new sponsor. We got a new sponsor from Nuka Cola. Nuka Cola is our new sponsor. They have 120% of the daily allowance of sugar. And you know what? Your body needs sugar. You might as well. The more sugar you have, the better your body function. I have always believed. That's been my philosophy. And
what kind of logic is that?
you know what? The more the merrier. That's what I've always believed. Yeah, and it might be slightly radioactive, slightly, a little bit of isotopes, a little bit of radioactivity. Never hurt anybody.
Just have some Radaway for you next to you after you drink a couple. That's all I can say.
Well,
they're not the same company. Just trust me. Radaway will help you.
Radaway.
Yes.
You know what? I'm a big fan of reducing the radioactivity in my body. But Nuka Cola is just so dang good. It reminds me of, what is that? It reminds me of ginger beer, and I just love some ginger beer. That's some good stuff.
No, ginger and beer should not belong together.
Yeah, well, ginger beer is like root beer. It's not beer like alcohol.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Shouldn't belong. No, disgusting.
Yeah. It's delicious. It's absolutely. I just had some ginger beer.
I'm gonna have to question your taste buds.
I just had some ginger beer the other day, and it was like, but this is like I don't know. It was like from Monster, so it wasn't like a niche like homebrew ginger beer. This is more like a super commercially available ginger beer from Monster Energy drinks. But it was still good. It was still delicious, and Nuka Cola reminds me of that homebrew soda. Yeah,
sure.
Like the ones you get into, like you go into a small town. And you go into, it's like, well, this is a brand of soda I'd never heard before. And they got this fancy old-timey labeling on the soda. And yeah, that's what Nukem Soda reminds me of.
Sure.
Yeah,
so good luck with
that's
all that.
That's our new sponsor. That's a new sponsor. We've been sponsored by Spacious Shorts for a long time now. Now we got Nuka Cola. So we just finished watching the movie, and that movie was
Romancing the Stones.
Romancing the Stone. That is correct. So this was an interesting choice because I remember watching this movie when I was younger, and it was way different than what I remember.
I don't know how, but it says romancing in it. So off the bat, the plot of the movie is going to be obvious is what is inside of that movie. Romance. Well, something that I don't really like because I'm just like blah.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing. Romancing the Stone is actually jargon. It's a jeweler's jargon. it's what a jeweler might do. What is what jewelers do to prepare the stone for sale. It's like, so when the final steps for preparing like a diamond to be set in a diamond ring or whatever, those final steps is called romancing the stone. So it's kind of a play on words. And actually it reminds me of stuff like Alan Quartermain or Tomb Raider or Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was kind of that vibe of film. And I remember thinking of it like that when I first saw it a long time ago. But now watching it again, it's like, wow, it's actually a little bit slower than what we usually watch.
It was too slow.
but we got through it. Oh, also I sent you a text on your phone. Did you get it?
Yeah, I asked you what are you talking about?
Yeah,
and you was like, oh, don't worry, we'll talk about it. I'm like,
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. So and now is that time. So Romancing the Stone is a mousy romance novelist sets off for Colombia to ransom her kidnapped sister and find herself in the middle of a dangerous adventure hunting for treasure with a mercenary rogue. Why don't you read that text?
Oh my God. She's a girl from the big city. He's a reckless soldier of fortune. For a fabulous treasure, they share an adventure no one can imagine or survive. That's all I know. It's like, this is the plot. She's, famous novel writer who writes none but romance, by the way, and she's the best one at it, by the way. Everyone loves it, and they always end up crying in tears. Yes, every single time. And when I mean she's the best at it, it's because she has no one. So somehow her fantasies just clicks, despite, not living that life. So then she gets a phone call. She picks it up. No one answers. Hangs up. Next scene's like, oh yeah, there's a random guy hanging up the phone. I'm like, all right. Oh, you can tell where this is going to be headed. Some type of nonsense going on. Then she gets a letter from one of her neighbors. It's like, oh yeah, mailman couldn't give you this. Here you go. Then when she drops off the letter, I mean, not the letter, but her book that's, she's publishing to a publisher. She's like, oh yeah, I got this letter. I don't know what it's for, but Then she gets another call from her sister, whose husband was chopped up and went missing, who they could not find the body parts. Yeah, mysteries. Don't you love it? She's like, oh yeah, can you come here? Because I'm pretty sure you got this envelope. Yeah, go ahead and come over here. I'm in big trouble. She's like, and the author's like, what kind of trouble? It's like, oh, just trouble. You have the letter. Come over to Colombia. Here's a number that you need to call and, follow the instructions. Please come and get me. I don't know how many days they're going to give you. Just come and get me. Please hurry.
Where were they at?
They was in Colombia, somewhere in Colombia.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Let's go. Let's all go to Colombia. So she goes. And also, I'm not going to mention that somehow the guy knows that she has to go to Colombia. I'm just like, how would you even know? Did you put a bug in the wall? Were you still in the room? Like, how did you know, since after you ransacked her room, you didn't find what you wanted to find, that you knew that she was going to Colombia? I don't know how you know, but whatever, how you do that. So then the guy that ransacked her home tricked her to get on the wrong bus, which I'm like, wow, does no one read here? Because I'm pretty sure you could look on top of the bus and be like, oh, look, that thing changed. It doesn't say where I need to go. She gets on the wrong bus, and they go all the way out, and I mean far out into the jungle. Next, she's like, all right, I've been on this bus long enough. Let me talk to the driver, who none of them speaks English. She keeps forgetting that, and she's trying to talk to this man. He's not paying attention to the road. He hits a truck with no driver. Everyone gets off the bus. They get off the bus. Everyone leaves to go somewhere else. The guy that told her to get on the bus was like, oh, don't follow them. There'll be another bus. Trust me. And after they're all gone, he basically tries to rob her. Like, all right, hand me your purse. And it's like, wow, that's just completely a giant wow.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. It seemed like he could have probably just did that at the bus stop or whatever.
But stole her purse just right out of her hands and then ran away.
Right. He could have did any of that. So this movie stars Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito, Zach Norman, Alfonso Arau. There we go again. Arau, something like that. Manuel Oh,
I see you're having trouble with pronouncing the names.
Manuel Ojeda, Holland Taylor. I guess you remember. I remember Kathleen Turner. She was in some recent movies, but I can't off the top of my dome remember what those movies were. But I do remember seeing Michael Douglas in some recent films. Don't you?
Yes. But right now, I just can't remember because I'm tired as heck and I would rather sleep right now.
He was in Ant-Man.
Oh yeah.
Remember, he was the original Ant-Man. He played the original Ant. He didn't wear the costume. He played Hank Pym, who invented the technology and was the original Ant-Man before they handed it off to what's his name, and gave him the Ant-Man suit. And so he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think he was in Infinity War, but I don't think he was in Endgame, unless he was in the funeral scene. I can't remember, but he was definitely in Infinity War. No, actually, no. I'm confused. He wasn't Endgame because Endgame was when they had to go back in time.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so they had to go to his office. Right. So and obviously he's been a successful actor for a very long time, and he produces a lot of his own work. And Danny DeVito, I think the most recent thing he did was he went back to television to be in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think that's what that's called.
Yep, that's what it's called.
But the first time I remember seeing him, he was on a sitcom called Taxi. And I watched the crap out of that show. He was a trip on it. It's like Taxi had a lot of memorable characters, and a lot of the actors that was on that sitcom went on to do some great things. But the other actors, I don't recognize. I hadn't seen any of these actors again in any capacity, but except for the main stars. So it was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and he's been like steadily churning out films, and this is one of his first films. So he directed Flight. I don't know if you remember Flight. That's the one with Denzel Washington.
Possibly don't remember it.
So Flight was a trip because that was a movie where Denzel Washington, he was a pilot that he had a drinking problem. Like he would drink before he get on the plane, he'd drink after he get on the plane. He liked to drink. And he was flying a plane in one of his flights, and he had to do some fancy flying. He flies a commercial airlines, so that's why drinking is a problem. You don't want your commercial airline pilots drinking. But he had a mechanical problem on his plane, so he actually had to fly the plane upside down and then right side up, and then he had to crash land the plane. And so none of it was his fault, but he happened to have been drinking, so he had to negotiate his life after that. He also directed A Christmas Carol. Well, one of those Christmas Carol movies.
Mm-hmm.
He directed Beowulf. Do you remember that one?
No.
Beowulf is a computer animation with the most notable actor I can remember is Angelina Jolie, but I think that guy from Spark. What's that when he said this is part 300? I think the guy from 300 was in the movie, but I can't remember. But I just remember Angelina Jolie. It was computer animated. The animation looked totally like life because they looked like the actors that was voicing them, but it was kind of boring. It kind of let me down. He directed Castaway. You remember Castaway?
No.
Castaway was with Tom Hanks, and he was on the deck.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
And his soccer ball became his best friend.
Yeah.
And Forrest Gump, and that's another Tom Hanks movie. And that's when he played Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump.
The things I have to deal with.
But what you call it? He directed a lot of movies, so he's been a working director for a long time. This movie was written by Diane Lane. And some sources it says that she also wrote Jewel of the Nile, but in other sources they said this was her only writing credit. I'm not sure. But well, I get more about get to more about Diane Thomas later. Did I say Diane Lane? I meant Diane Thomas, written by Diane Thomas. Also uncredited were Lim Dobbs, Howard Franken, and Trevor Silverman. These are all uncredited co-screenwriters. It was. How'd you like the music?
It was decent.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. And it's a familiar composer. Are you familiar with the name Alan Silvestri?
Pretty sure we heard him in other movies then.
You should have, because he's made music in over 135 films and video games. Dude's been busy. He's getting it in. He also made music for Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, basically all the Avengers, and Captain America, the first Avenger. So yeah, he's been busy and he did like music for some of the Predator video games. Like he's been on his P's and Q's, as we old people like to say. It was produced by Michael Douglas. He's basically the producer. Like I said, in most movies that you see Michael Douglas in, he's going to be producer, but he was also co-produced by Joe Douglas and Jack Brodsky. Yeah, I just didn't keep flicking out. It was released by 20th Century Fox, and let's get into some trivia. Like such as the studio executives were so sure that this film was going to flop that Robert Zemeckis was preemptively fired from Cocoon. Cocoon was a wildly popular movie about old people feeling young again and have something to do with aliens. So,
and then when they saw how the movie was successful, they're like, "Oh,
well, he was already." It's like they knew it was gonna flop, so they fired him from Cocoon off the break. But it turned out to be such a success that Zemeckis was able to go and do his own project, which turned out to be Back to the Future.
And all they can say is, "Well, we done fucked up."
Yeah, messed up bad. Let's see. Some describe the film as a ripoff of 1981's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I don't see how. There's completely major differences.
Yeah, there's some major differences. And the original screenplay had actually been written 5 years earlier than Raiders. This is the only produced screenplay for writer Diane Thomas. She had been working as a waitress in Malibu when producer star Michael Douglas optioned her script for $250,000, allowing her to quit her job. Sadly, Thomas died in a car accident while working on a new movie project with Steven Spielberg. The following year, about 7 weeks before the opening of this film sequel called The Jewel of the Nile, she was a passenger while her boyfriend was driving a Porsche that Michael Douglas, the very same star of the movie, had bought her as a thank you gift. Jewel of the Nile, 1985, was dedicated in memory of Thomas. So that's kind of tragic. You know,
Yep.
you buy you buy a car as a gift for the movie they wrote, and the boyfriend just somehow has an accident with it. And that's pretty bad. Remember that dance scene in the movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was almost totally improvised by Michael Douglas. And what happened was, I guess he and Diane Lane, they decided to go out onto the dance floor and just kind of pretend like they were dancing. But they didn't know that Robert Zemeckis decided to start filming him dancing. Just started filming him on the slide. So the almost the entire scene was improvised. This movie was successful. The sequel was good, but didn't make nearly as well. I don't want to say nearly as much. It didn't make as much money as the first one. So, but they did start development on the movie. It was going to be called The Crimson Edge, and it was going to be where Jack and Joan, and I guess they had 2 kids, and they go to Thailand and they get kidnapped and I guess have adventures in Thailand, but never got made. Didn't get around to making that one.
I'm pretty sure that movie didn't need a sequel. It just should have ended there. That's it. No sequel. No one after that. Just only one movie.
Yeah.
It didn't need a sequel. So the fact they thought it needed a sequel means that they needed help.
Well, they already made a second sequel. They just never made a third sequel.
Well, it's a good thing they never do it because again, it was not needed and no one asked for it. Literally no one.
Here's something interesting. Kathleen Turner once said of working with Robert Zemeckis, I remember terrible arguments with Zemeckis, romancing. He's a film school grad, fascinated by cameras and effects. I never felt that he knew what I was having to do to adjust my acting to some of his damn cameras. Sometimes he put you in ridiculous postures. I'd say, this is not helping me. This is not the way I like to work. Thank you.
You mean like the waterfall scene from the very first one? With a mudslide and whatever?
No, that was probably done by, a stunt double. So, and some of those close-ups we probably did on the soundstage or something like that. No, I think what she's talking about, like, if you're sitting there and you're talking in conversation, then he will put you in, like, weird positions just to talk at it. Like, when they're in a restaurant or something like that and they're doing a restaurant scene, and he will put you in weird angles to sit down and talk to somebody because he had a special camera that he wanted to try out or something like that. So I think that's what she's talking about. And our last bit of trivia, Michael Douglas and Danny DeVito were roommates during their time in New York City when they were starting out in show business. Additionally, DeVito notes that Douglas got his break first with the TV series The Streets of San Francisco, but continued to pay his share of the rent even after leaving the apartment in New York City for Hollywood. He would later, as producer, offer the part of Ralph to DeVito, which DeVito admits was good exposure and helpful to his career.
That's good.
That's what true friends are for. That's friendship. That's brotherhood. We need some more of that in this world.
That's not going to really happen as much as you want it.
Yeah, I know. And that all that trivia that was brought to you by IMDb, the main source of most of the info I get for this podcast. And we'll come back to you later after a message from Nuka-Cola. Nuka-Cola, it just tastes good. Friends, there's a beverage coming up of the horizons that's going to give you that sweet, full-bodied taste you've always wanted. It's got that caffeine that'll put a pep in your step. It's got that flavor that'll make your mouth go pop. It's got that sweetness that'll make you forego all other refreshments. That's right, folks. We're talking about Nuka-Cola that's being developed in our labs right now. Our focus groups have determined that Nuka-Cola is the greatest soft drink ever developed, and with an excessive amount of caffeine and 120% the recommended daily amount of sugar, Nuka-Cola is guaranteed to keep you awake for your late-night gaming sessions. This amazingly delicious and refreshing drink, whether served ice-cold, lukewarm, or hot out of the microwave, is perfect for those overnight drives from New York City to Denver, Colorado. Nuka-Cola will go perfectly with everything from medium steak and potatoes to cheesecake and popcorn. It's great for all occasions, from bar mitzvahs to funerals. It's yummy for all ages, from premature babies to your 101-year-old grandma. That's right, folks. Nuka-Cola is on its way, and it's the greatest soft drink that you've ever tried. Nuka-Cola. It just tastes good. Good. Hold on. I need to ask you something. I forgot to ask you, what in the world have you been doing this past week? Wait, hold on. Before I get into that, I just remembered that this podcast is being broadcast like 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, but we are recording it the day after Thanksgiving. So I know it's gauche to discuss Thanksgiving like 2 weeks after people already talking about Christmas already, but I got to get this off my chest because on Thanksgiving, I had to cook everything. This is the first time I ever cooked a Thanksgiving meal. And it wasn't a big meal because it was just the three of us. We're trying to social distance. We're not trying to go and visit relatives. Under normal circumstances, this burden would belong to my mother or one of my aunts or one of my cousins, and they'd be cooking the turkey or whatever else people like to eat for Thanksgiving. And I would typically bring like A pie. I'll make a pie from scratch. Maybe make a couple of pies. One time I made some banana pudding. Um, I don't think I've ever made cakes yet, so it's basically just pies and making pies from scratch. That's hard enough if you ever done it. But making since I had to make everything, I didn't make anything from scratch. We had chicken instead of turkey because we don't have a lot of room in the refrigerator, and as I said, it's just the three of us. There's no sense for getting a giant bird in order to for Thanksgiving if you don't have room or the people to consume it. And I considered getting a duck, but or the area where I live at, it was just too hard. So we had chicken, and the chicken was made in such as that all you had to do was put it in the oven and leave it in there for like 2.5 hours, and it was done. And I got some ham, and I think that I actually made ham glaze from scratch, but it wasn't that hard. Also, the sweet potato, that was also had to be. It was sort of made by scratch. I got it out of a can. Okay, I confess. I got it out of a can. I wasn't going to make. I wasn't going to boil the sweet potatoes. I couldn't find them anywhere. Well, that's another story. I meant to find sweet potatoes. I was going to do it because really all you have to do is kind of boil them to soften them up, and then you make the sweet potato with the marshmallow and stuff, as people love, with the syrup and the marshmallow. So I'm looking. I go to Shoppers, which is our local grocery store, and I'm actually looking for white potatoes, and I'm like, I wanted the white potatoes in a bag, and I was also looking for sweet potatoes, and I was looking for sweet potatoes, and I was looking around, and I couldn't figure it out, and I wanted to get the white potatoes in the bag, and I couldn't figure out where that was either. But there was a bin of potatoes at the very front of the store. Like when you first walk in the door, there's this giant bin of potatoes. So I was like, well, these must be the white potatoes. I guess I'll try these. And, several days later, I go home. I start cutting up the potatoes because I was going to cut the potatoes and I was going to basically bake the potatoes in the bottom of the oven. And as it turns out, these were sweet potatoes. And I could not tell the difference between sweet potatoes and white potatoes. These were sweet potatoes, but I had already bought sweet potatoes in a can. So I cooked the sweet potatoes as the same way I would have cooked the white potatoes. And I took the sweet potatoes in the can and I used that, well, what they call candied yam, and I used that to make the sweet potatoes with the marshmallow and the syrup. And that was our Thanksgiving adventure. Obviously, I bought a bunch of vegetables. I just threw some of them in the microwave or put some on the stove where it could simmer. That wouldn't have been. I wasn't going to go all out on the vegetables. I think I succeeded on that front. So what'd you think of Thanksgiving dinner?
It was good, but you know how you can tell the difference between yams and potatoes, right?
How can you tell the difference?
Potatoes are round. Yams are not.
Okay.
That's the major difference.
Okay, I'll take that. That's a fair assessment. I don't know how that happened. I'm trying to adjust this mic right now. It's going up and down. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Oh well.
The only thing I can guess is that you just never seen yams for real, or somehow you just forgot what potatoes look like, probably because you was tired.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know how that happened. But you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? It was good. It was delicious. I put my foot in it, and I did it without a whole bunch of help. So, anyways, and today I finally washed the dishes from Thanksgiving, all the pots and plates and pans and whatnot. Also, another interesting story that I did not tell you. You remember the plates that I got us?
Yeah.
So how you like those plates?
Very nice.
So I got a set of white plates because we've been steadily breaking our other plates, and it's gotten to the point where it's like we only have a few plates and bowls left. So I got an entirely new set of plates, and I went and got them at Target. It was kind of like on a whim. Like I was there to get something completely different. I was like, you know what? We need some new plates. And it'd be great to have a new plate set on Thanksgiving. They're only $20. Let's go ahead and get these things. So I pick up the plates, and they're quite heavy. in a box, and I take it and I wring myself out, and then and I had a couple other items too, and I'm on my way to the car, and on the way to the car, I hear the sounds. There's a sound it sounds something like sand, in the bottom of the box, and my spider sense goes all the way off, and at the same time I'm in total denial. I have this cognizant dissonance, so I'm thinking, nah, maybe that's just the funny way it's packing. But my spider sense is telling me, these joints is broke, man. These joints is all the way broke. He said, you gonna open these up and they're gonna be cracked all the way, cracked. They're gonna be broke, man. You better leave these alone. You better take them back to the store. And I'm like, nah, man, he not broke. It can't be broke. This is Target. They wouldn't let that happen to me. But when I got to the car, my spider sense, man, you better check these. You better open this up and check these places, man. You better check these and open them up. And sure enough, yeah, 4th place there. Crackety crack. And that the sandy sound that I heard at the bottom, that was the dust, because apparently it had been cracked for a long time. So as these plates had been moved and shipped around, the places where it was broken that would grind down to sand, and the sand would end up at the bottom of the box. So I had to carry this. I like to park at the end of the parking lot, so I had to carry this heavy box all the way back to Target. And at the time I brought it back to Target, it was only one person ahead of me at the customer service line. She was done real quickly, brought mine up, and was like, had to do an exchange. She said, okay, go get another box. I went to get another box. When I got back to customer service, not only was there several people in line, but there was a lady, and she had, you ever go to the store and there's always, sometimes, I'm not going to say this always happens, but sometimes you get this person, they have a unique problem, and it takes a special type of patience to deal with those people at customer service or in the checkout. Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, she had some serious issues with her credit card and refunds, and it couldn't be like a simple, okay, get refunded and get out. She was like there for a while, and I was just sitting there waiting for a while. And then finally, I don't know, I think I was there for like 20 minutes. They was able to somehow deal with her problem or pass it on to somebody who knew better about how to help her. And then I could finish my exchange with the lady. And then I was out of there, and I don't think I checked these plates. No, I did check. I checked these plates at the car, and they turned out to be fine. So, no, I didn't, because you had to open up the plates.
I opened up the box.
So I didn't check the place. I just took it on faith that I think what I did was that when I picked up the second box, I kind of shook them just slightly. I didn't hear anything, so I figured these probably weren't broke. So that's what happened with that's the interesting story of going to Target and making Thanksgiving. So then we ate, and goodness, I realized I can't eat like I used to. I was like I ate one plate, and I was like, I was totally done. I remember back when I was growing up, I could eat a couple of plates, but I just ate that one plate, and I was totally done. So let's move on to our next segment, which is, well, actually, this segment actually belongs at the beginning of the broadcast, but I totally forgot about it. Making my notes. What you do with this past week?
I've been playing Call of Duty, Cold War lately. Yeah. Me and my friends play zombies. We got to round 30. I got down a lot because every time I ran away, somehow something was blocking my path, and I had a horde of zombies taking me down. So, and I kept telling my friends, don't pick me up. And you know what they did? They came and picked me up, and I was like, I hate you guys. I hate you with a lot of passion.
So when you said you got to 30, you mean level 30? Or
round 30. It's like there's only 30 rounds.
Oh, okay. So you died at round 30?
No, I died on almost every round. From round 20 to up, I kept getting down because every time I ran away, there was always another horde.
Right.
Or something was like, if I tried to run, something was blocking my path and I couldn't move. And I was like, well, my gun is not powerful enough to headshot these zombies, because the way Treyarch trains up zombies was completely different.
Right.
Not only that, I had to deal with megatons, which are the bosses. And every time you defeat one, they split into two. And I was like, yeah, I hate this so much.
Yeah, I don't have that problem in the game that I'm playing right now.
Of course you don't.
So yeah, I'm still messing with the downloaded characters at Mortal Kombat 11. So I played I think I played Rambo at Thanksgiving. They have special towers for the new characters. And they're designed to get you used to using their moveset. So today I played Melina and Rain, and so they're both fun. Melina likes to eat people. She has
Of course he does. He's part whatever Baraka is.
Yeah.
Tartakan? I think that's his race. Yeah, well, whatever. She's part of him.
Yeah, and it's like in some introductions, she's eating somebody. I mean, furiously eating his guts, and then she has a brutality where she eats her opponent's entire head, and then regurgitates it. Why? I mean,
because that is from I think Mortal Kombat 2,
oh, okay.
where she eats the entire body and then just spits out nothing but bones of endless bones that don't match up.
Yeah, but see, that's different. Like she's spitting out, she eats the meat and spits out the bones, which is what a lot of nobody likes to eat bone. But she, in this particular version, she eats the entire head and spits everything out. Like it's just goo. It's like so.
Yeah.
Presumably, she dissolves the bone, or she eats the bones too. But she regurgitates everything out, not just the skull. It's like I don't know. Maybe she didn't like the taste. So, what's interesting about this new content is that I don't know if they bring the voice actors back to record new openings, or if they do it all ahead of time. But you get to hear new openings. Like they each have different new interactions with all of the previous characters that's there. Like in Spawn, he warns Melina that not to eat him because she wouldn't like the taste or something like that. And then I also got I bought the content from the Mortal Kombat movie, and the 3 actors that they chose as downloadable content were also the 3 actors actually reprised the role.
Yep.
So you had Christopher Lambert, the same guy that was in The Highlander, that guy.
Yep.
So he played Raiden. So I played him because, for one, Raiden is my favorite character, and 2, he's the most prominent actor in that movie. Like you really don't see the other actors anymore, but you continuously see Christopher Lambert. And it's kind of funny because they didn't, for whatever reason, Robin Shou wasn't a part of that. And you would think because he played
Liu Kang.
Right, he played Liu Kang, so you would think they would get him, but they didn't get him. But they did get they got Sonya and they got
Johnny Cage.
Right. So I haven't played them yet, but it's nice. The moveset is exactly the same, but it's just neat to see them with the new voice actors. So yeah, that's all I've been doing. Obviously working, obviously editing the podcast. There's a new sniper game that I'm playing on the phone, this game is funny because they so desperately trying to get you to buy stuff.
Or basically just like, hey, you got ads. You want to get rid of this? Go ahead, pay that.
Not even that. They want you to buy stuff and still keep the ads. It's like they want all of the money. I haven't bought anything yet off of this game because it's free to play. It's like, man, you just better be satisfied with all these ads I got to watch. You better let them give you that money. I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying any gear, no coins, no nothing. If I can't, when I get to the point where I can't progress in the game, playing it the way I am, then that means I'm done with the game. But so far it's fun because in playing most games, sniping is one of my favorite things to do. So, what did you think about Romancing the Stone?
I don't like romance, but it was fine.
Okay, so it wasn't that bad. As we talked offline during the break, how he in the beginning of this podcast he narrated like the first act, like beat for beat. He narrated the entire first act, so it definitely had an impact on you, didn't it?
No, not really. I'm just going on how ridiculous it was.
Oh, okay. So, did you have any favorite parts?
I guess I'll choose the part when they're walking in the rain and she gets upset because she needs help from him, so she can go ahead and get to a phone so she can call the number that she's supposed to call. And he's like, "You want my help? $500." And she's like, 500? You crazy? Even though she's a famous, romance novelist, she's like, yeah, 500 is out of my district. How about I think she said like 430, something like that. He's like, fine. Then she walks away from him, and she looks back at him. He looks at the suitcase. He picks it up, walks over to her, dropped it, and then continued to walk on as if he was gonna pick it up for her, as if he's some monkey boy to do all that. After she said, "Yeah, here's 430, American Visa. There you go." No, he wasn't gonna do that. Nor would I.
Yeah, that was kind of funny, but it wasn't. It wasn't American Visa. It was American Express Travelers Checks.
Express.
You are not familiar with Travelers Check.
No, I'm not. I just know. Let's see. Another one would be the two cousins arguing, where he's in a police station, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, he's like, "Hey, mommy, yeah, how you doing? You don't have to yell. I call you." And then he's basically trying to sound so unsuspicious that they don't catch on who he is and what he's up to. And after this, apparently no one in the room, he goes off saying, "Are you crazy? We got Zolo on here now. He's a madman. What's wrong with you? I told you we shouldn't do this. I told you this was a bad idea, but you didn't want to listen to me. And we're cousins. I ought to hurt you, but we're cousins, but I won't."
Right.
And then he noticed that there's a mugshot of, well, not a real mugshot, just a drawn image of him. And so he's trying to get it, but then he sees a cop comes along. He's like, "All right, I gotta stop. I'm just gonna sit here on the desk, continue to talk." And when the cop walks away, he goes for the picture to grab it so no one would realize who he is.
Right. Yeah, they don't need to see his face because he's a wanted criminal in Colombia, and that's not great. My favorite part is when they're cornered by. They go into this town. They're cornered by some of the townspeople. Oh, it's not really a town. It's more like a
small little village.
It's a village, but it's a drug. It's controlled by the drug cartel. So they get cornered there, and they guns pointing at them, and they try to get into this guy's. They try to ask this guy a favor, that the main guy in town, but they don't. The guy doesn't want to help them, and then the Jack is like, "So, how you gonna write us out of this now, Joan Wilder?" And he was like, and the guy came back to the door. He's like, "You're Joan Wilder? You're the novelist? Come on in. This," and he tells this guy, he tells his friends in Spanish, like, "This is the woman who writes the stories that I read to you on Saturdays."
They're all happy too.
Yeah, they love that woman.
When they enter the place, they're all following them behind. They're like, "So, can you tell us where we can get a car?" "Yeah, up there at the house, you can get a car. There's only one." They're like, "All right, continue," and then quickly walks away. And the moment they get to the house, after he's like, "No, I don't have a car. What you talking about? Does it look like I have a car?" Points the guns at them. They're like, "All right, okay." Turns around again, they're cornered. So they're like,
"Yeah,
first of all, this makes no sense. You tell us to leave, you have all these people in front of us. How is that even fair?"
Right. Well, they seem suspicious off the break. Remember, they're a drug cartel.
Of course,
so when you show
drug cartel.
You show up at a drug cartel person's house, they're liable to shoot you. So that's what that deal was. But yeah, he totally fanboys out over her. Now, she might be a famous novelist, but I think that she probably doesn't make that much money. So
have you not seen her house? How many liquors she has? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's world famous.
Well, she lives in New York City. She lives in she lived in an apartment.
I'm pretty sure she's.
It was an apartment, not a house.
I don't care. She's getting enough money to be saving some of that.
I think that she's earning a living, a decent wage. That's what it is. It's like she's earning like something that a restaurant manager would probably. No, that's too low. Not a restaurant manager. Like a district manager of a restaurant, a guy that manages like 6 restaurants. She's like at that level. Like she might be making like a high 2 figures.
And a way to get the guy was fanboying. Apparently, one of the books he bought multiple amounts of because he gives it to Jack. He's like, "Here, take this. I got multiple." I'm like,
right.
That's what you need.
Right. And then and then they when they ask him about a car, he's like, "Car? They told you I had a car? Oh, such comedians. They must be talking about my little mule."
I'm like, little mule. I'm like, how small are they? Bust out the house with a Toyota. I'm like,
no, that's a Ford.
Or a Ford truck. I'm like, that's not a mule. What are
Right.
you talking about? I'm thinking like it's a small little car, itty bitty tiny car. No, it's a truck. And I'm like,
it's a 4-wheel pickup truck.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
I don't know the make and model, but what was really interesting about that one, it did say "little mule" on the side.
On
the
the side, I'm like, that doesn't justify what they thought you meant.
Right,
it's still a car.
Right. So yeah, so those were some enjoyable moments. But it was very slowly paced, and I'm already tired, so I was actually having a hard time watching it myself. It's like, oh man, it's not what I remember. It was still a good movie, but I really would have preferred a faster paced movie. But you kind of threw me for a curveball because I wanted to watch Aliens. But you've seen all the Aliens movies. You've seen all of them, and I didn't realize it because I was getting all set up to do Aliens. Like, oh, I seen that when I was like, oh my goodness, I was scrambling, trying to figure out what I wanted to watch. And so that's what we ended up watching. But I thought it was gonna be a much more action-packed movie. I thought it was very light on action. I thought it was going to be a lot more action in it, but it did lean heavily on the romance side. And I don't watch a lot of romance movies. It's like it wasn't full romance, but it did lean heavily in that direction. So there was some action in it, but it wasn't as much action as I would have preferred. But like if you were somebody who was dating and you wanted to go on a date, this would make a great date movie. It had a little something for the guys, a little something for the females. It would have been great in a situation like that. But just watching it with your son, it wasn't the best decision I ever made. I'll admit it's probably the first time
you steered me wrong.
I wouldn't say I steered you all the way wrong. I kind of went off course a little bit.
Sure.
Went off course with this.
Sure. You keep telling yourself that. Also, there are sometimes in the scenes of the movies, I would have been that guy in the back just saying, just kiss her already. Because they kept getting to the point of that almost multiple times. I'm like, can you just get it on with it? It's already obvious you fell in love with her from when you went to that plane crash site. It was already obvious from that point. Might as well just go off already.
Yeah, so yeah, that's true. That is true. But that's how romance type stories work, especially in romantic comedies, which I'll say I more readily watch a romantic comedy before I watch romantic action movies or romance in general. But other movies I was considering because I wanted to. I wanted to find an early movie, like something, a movie before you were born, one of those movies that had a strong action female leads. And the thing is that there just wasn't that many in the 70s and 80s. Aliens was the one. It was the one. And later on, obviously, you got strong female action leads, but that didn't really come until later on. And then a lot of ones that came out, especially kung fu movies, I didn't see a lot of them. Like Michelle Yeoh apparently was in this very famous or very notable action movie, but I didn't see that one. And then there was an actress that I like. Her name is Cynthia Rothrock. She's a kung fu star, and she's been in a lot of kung fu movies, but I don't remember which one of those that she was in that was actually good. So it could have been that they were all bad. And I think a lot of her movies are really hard to find anyway. So I almost settled on Set It Off. And that would have fit the bill. It would have been just under a while. I think it came out like 1995 or something like that. So we would have just made it. And we're going to end up creeping into movies that came out after you were born anyway. But I think that would have worked. But I was like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. Because it's more like it was a gangster movie, and I was worried about I don't know. I wasn't exactly sure I wanted to watch that right away. I was more interested in watching Romancing the Stone, but it turned out way differently than I imagined or that I remember. But we'll get to set it off. But and I don't even think I have that movie. I have so few of the movies that came out in the 80s. It's weird. So that was our discussion for Romancing the Stone. You got any final thoughts on that movie?
I don't like romance. It would have been better if it wasn't romance. They should have just went ahead and be like, yeah, it's an Indiana Jones ripped off. But apparently by saying that, you trick people going into it and they're like, oh yeah, it's like Indiana Jones, let's go watch it. What did I watch?
Right. Yeah, it's way different from Indiana Jones. So anyways, that is our discussion of Romancing the Stone. If you're into that sort of thing, I would encourage you to watch it. All right, even if you're not, expand your horizons. It wasn't that bad. It was actually quite enjoyable. At least it was when I first watched it in 1980 something. I think it was 1981.
Yeah, good job with that.
It was great back then.
Back then.
So once again, if you enjoyed what you heard, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast apps that you're listening to us on. And we will talk to you next week. We'll have another discussion, another movie, another Pavalar next week. We talk about a different show. Figure what that is later on. But until then, fam, y'all have a nice one.